So I'm gonna talk about the micro and macro environment of paper ID. For the micro environment, paper ID has no intermediaries as these businesses are fully operated by online. Therefore, this business is a business that are engaged in services, so the supplier itself is its internal developer. The customer of paper ID are varied. They have both B2B and B2C customers. However, their focus are segmented on the B2B as paper ID provide platform for invoicing and digital payment that support B2B transactions. The competitors of paper ID are Buku Warung, Mekari Jurnal, and Duitku. Although they are all the businesses that engage in financial and bookkeeping services, they still have different focus. Buku Warung are focused on simple bookkeeping for MSMEs, and Mekari Jurnal is an accounting software for mid-sized and large businesses, and Duitku is focuses more on payment gateway services rather than just bookkeeping. Thus, Paper ID itself are businesses that combine invoicing, financial tracking, and B2B payment solutions. Let's move for the microenvironment. There are some factors to be considered. The first one is technology, international environment, country specific. In this video is Indonesia and the society. So let's begin with technology. Paper ID is highly influenced by developments in CRIS. Integrating CRIS allows Paper ID to be compatible with a wide range of payment systems. Paper ID also highly influenced by AI and machine learning, which can automate repetitive processes, improve accuracy in bookkeeping, and detect fraud faster. Paper ID also do partnership with some payment card network like Visa, Amex, MasterCard, GCB, and commercial banks to make it easier for business to do payment. And the last one is cybersecurity, which is becoming more important every day as users entrust their financial data to digital platforms. Next, we'll look at the international factors. Even though Paper ID mainly operates in Indonesia, the global environment still has a major impact when it comes to feature expansion or cross-border transactions. Some of the issues are the difference in buying power across country. This affects how Paper ID might price its services if it enters foreign markets, and currency exchange rates. This could affect operational costs or income when dealing with international vendors or clients. Legal constraints such as foreign investment rules and international fintech compliance standards, which Paper ID must consider if it grows beyond Indonesia. And the last one is cultural factors. As different regions have different levels of digital finance adoptions, which can influence user behavior and design choices. Now, let's narrow our focus on Indonesia, where Paper ID currently operates. There are several important aspects in local microenvironment. Economically, Paper ID is affected by inflation rates, interest rates, and the overall spending behavior of small and medium-sized business. From a legal standpoint, the company also must comply with regulations like UU Nomor 1 Tahun 2024 Pasal 5. And on the cultural factors, Paper ID needs to be aware that public trust in digital finance is still developing. Not all businesses are comfortable going fully digital. There are also data privacy concerns and varying levels of financial literacy, which makes some users might struggle with understanding how to use the platforms. This means Paper ID must invest in user education and make the interface as simple as possible. And then the last factors is the societal expectation. The first one is public perceptions. Some users might view fintech platform like Paper ID as just another intermediary taking a cut of their transactions. That's why Paper ID must be very clear in showing how it adds real value, whether through convenience, speed, or cost savings. And then there are moral constraints. Users expect fintech companies to operate with integrity. Any sign of unethical behavior, hidden fees, or manipulation can ruin a brand's reputation. And of course, the ethical responsibility, especially when it comes to data privacy. Users expect their sensitive financial information to be handled with the highest level of protections and transparency.
So, using the data from the similar web and compare it with a bit of the competitors and what we usually see in the Google Analytics benchmarks, first let us see the basic metrics. Paper ID had total visitors of 577,900 in February 2025. But the experienced drop of 19.28% from the previous months, which is quite significant, mean the platform lost over 138,000 competitors compared to the January. As shown in the lines graph, these downward trends might be a red flag for the marketing and content teams to investigate what caused the traffic drop. So despite the decrease in the visits, some engagement metrics are still strong. The average visit duration is 5 minutes and 12 seconds, which is above compared to the many business platforms. This suggests the users are spending time engaging the contents or using the service. And also, page per visit is 6.68, which means the users are navigating through multiple pages, and it's a good sign for the platform, especially if it offers various services like invoicing, reports, or financial dashboard. However, the bounce rate is 44.82%, which is relatively high. According to the typical Google Analytics benchmark, bounce rates between 26 to 40% it's excellent, but 41 until 55% is average, and anything above is not ideal for Pepper ID. So it's just slightly over the average mark. This suggests that a decent portions of users leave after visiting just one page, maybe due to unclear flow or landing page that doesn't match their expectations. And now we compare it Pepper ID to similar platforms like Cledo.com and B ID. Pepper ID is actually ahead of both in the total visits. That shows it hold up strong positions among the local competitors in finance or business space. But if we compare it with the bigger platforms like Figma.com or even Google Storage, Pepper ID is obviously still a small player, and that's understandable since those are global tools. But it's useful to know where Pepper ID stands. So my recommendation would be, first, investigate the reason for the recent traffic. Why is the drop? And what's the seasonality of it? And second, work on optimizing the landing page or call actions to reduce bounce rate. And third, since the users are already spending time and clicking through pages, maybe introduce some more personalized content or features recommendations to keep them longer and encourage the conversions.
As a relatively new venture with little to no market space in the consumer space, Paper.id digital analytics are a bit all over the place and is in need of a lot of improvement. As per our research in regards to their online presence, it is somewhat lackluster. With a social media reach of 160,000 but with only 202 mentions and 345 interactions online, especially with an estimated of more than 600,000 businesses using Paper.id, these numbers do not add up. And such, underwhelming numbers of mentions and interactions with further investigation shows that almost all of it comes from media and articles being written about the company, and with little to no interactions between Paper.id itself and regular customers or people. We deduce that this may be due to how Paper.id approach towards its marketing situation, in which they are trying to be more direct and targeting only at business fairs and of sorts. Further investigation about their further positive and negative sentiments shows that there is no negative projections towards Paper.id. But due to the lack of mentions online, this does not mean that there is a positive sentiments about Paper.id either. But it's more towards the fact that the public does not know anything about Paper.id or does not care enough about the brand to find out more. In comparison to their competitor like Journal.id, the number shows that there's still a stark difference between the two, and means that both Journal.id and Paper.id needs to further enhance their social media game. But by looking at the Google Analytics of Paper.id further, we can find out the other side of the ball game. 600,000 visits per month, mainly from Indonesia, and with an almost 50-50 split of desktop and mobile device. Due to most people in Indonesia using mobile devices more than desktops, This preference clearly shows in the analytics. But with the caveat of a bounce rate of 46% and a 5-second visit per duration in combination to their average visit page per visit, which is 6 pages, this statistic shows that most Indonesians that visit the site is not interested in finding out more about the company, especially in terms of the time they want to spend in learning about the product. When we visit the site itself, there seems to be a sterile feel that gives off a typical corporate website with nothing more of note to draw us in, and some of the information given in the website feels only surface level and does not actually compel us to read or look further into it without contacting them directly. What we recommend is hiring a more social media active team in which they can focus on interacting with more consumer and newer people online, and also redesigning their website so that it shows that their Indonesian culture background and emphasize that their commitment towards the local UMKM or small businesses in Indonesia without showing unprofessionalism on that side too.
So, Paper ID current digital strategy level can be seen through their technological adoption. First, integration of AI and machine learning. They utilize AI for better data management and operational insights, which can enhance decision-making processes. Second one is virtual payment solutions. They utilize QRIS to facilitate easier transactions for their clients. So what are the recommendations for Paper ID future strategy? First, expand AI capabilities. They should continue investing in AI technologies to automate more complex processes, such as predictive analytics for cash flow management, which can provide their clients with valuable insights into their financial health. Second, increase integration with financial institutions. Strengthening partnerships with banks and tech companies can improve service offerings, such as better financing options for their clients that utilize Paper ID's platform.